What were you?
No, I wasn't saying anything that should be repeated at this point in time. But it made you laugh, didn't it?
It sure did. You made me laugh several times this morning.
Look who's
Actually,
back.
I couldn't finish a
Let's
script.
get his microphone on.
Oh, are we going now?
We're on.
Oh, we're on.
We're
Hello,
on.
everybody.
The live stream is a loose
There.
order of business.
Very good. The mic is kind of.
We're on the Facebook. We're on the Instagram.
Okay.
We're on our .com channels. This is Sunrise Extra. We're giving you more.
Are you extra? You're extra.
On the TV show, you don't see Tim Gordon put the microphone on. He already has it on during the TV show.
Just hang it here. Is that okay? We're kind of casual.
Yeah,
it'll
just
be,
hang it
it'll be
there.
best if you unbutton that button.
It also works better if you turn it on.
Oh, turn it on,
turn
Tim
it
Gordon.
on, Tim.
Oh, man.
My goodness.
See, I thought I was all
Good
done.
Lord.
It's a Sunrise Extra, the behind-the-scenes look at how TV is done and done well.
And what a
If I talk
train
into
wreck it is.
Drew's mic, it
yeah,
still
well,
works.
your mic's on now,
Now it's
right?
on. Yeah, it's on.
Now it's on. I just think you should unbutton this button and that button and really show some chest.
That's a scary idea.
I gotta go. Bye.
All right, yeah, you gotta go.
The reason we're bringing back Tim today, you were here yesterday, and Tim is going to tell us about the story he was covering this morning on the Sunrise TV program, the beached whale in Waldport. And I know one of the first things that came up, one of our producers who hasn't lived here for very long was like, where exactly is Waldport? It's about 15 miles south of Newport.
Right.
So I feel like everyone knows for the most part where Newport is, so a little south of there.
It's
and
down
this,
there.
And yeah. Exactly. No, it's a long ride. If you
Yeah.
wanted to drive there from Portland, it's going to take you a good 3 hours to get down to Waldport. But we first caught this story yesterday, Tim, a little bit before noon. First reports of a whale, a young whale, beached in Waldport, and we've really been following it all day yesterday, now early morning. If you're watching on the Facebook feed, you can see this video of Brian with the phone in his hand. You can show our Instagram viewers the video of that beached whale.
Poor whale.
The key time in this story to this point was a few hours ago at 1 a.m. That's when high tide came back in, and we thought, okay, high tide is going to help this whale. It didn't, though, Tim.
And we actually, sorry to interrupt you guys, but our executive producer just sent us a text from our crew who is on the scene right now. He said he just got to where the whale is. He had to hike in, and he says the whale is still alive at this point.
Okay.
So
there's a lot of information that we're receiving. I mean, obviously, none of us are marine biologists. None of us are whale experts. We're actually learning a lot very quickly because of this situation. But let's go back to 1 o'clock this morning. We were hoping that high tide would take the whale back out, and it didn't. What was the latest update on that?
Yeah, so it was a pretty good high tide. It was about a 7-foot high tide, and it was the hope that, we had one yesterday afternoon. The whale actually was in the surf and making a move like it was going to make it out, but the waves were too strong. It makes you think this whale is struggling not to be able to get out. Yesterday afternoon. So then we had another high tide last night about 1 o'clock in the morning, as you said. Didn't move the whale. The whale's still on the beach. It may have floated around a little bit, but it didn't get out to sea.
And it was a full moon last night, right? So this was a full moon, high tide, about as good a situation as you can ask for. And it didn't happen. So now we're thinking, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the next high tide's about 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's about a foot lower than the one last night. So if the one last night didn't work, what are the odds of one that's only a 6-foot high tide working?
We talked about how rare it is to have a whale that's actually still alive make its way onto the beach. Normally, if you see this kind of thing happen, the whale unfortunately has already died once it's there on the beach. This one's still alive. You just got the update from our crew. Still alive at this very moment, but as the minutes pass, literally in this situation, we're wondering how much longer can it survive if it can't get back out there into the water.
Yeah, I think the clock's ticking. And they were meeting, biologists were meeting at 6 o'clock this morning about dawn. That was their plan, at least. We haven't heard from them yet. I just texted the state parks guy to hopefully give us an update about what they decide as they reassess, what they're going to do with this whale.
Sorry, if you already talked about this, because I was trying to pull up the stream and look at comments, but did you already mention why they can't help it move out? I mean, what's the difficulty? Because my first thought this morning is surely they have equipment that can help it get out to the water.
I'm thinking a helicopter and a sling and some jacks.
I mean, I know it's a ton.
To the extreme, but the thing is it weighs over a ton. Yeah, it's 20 feet long, and this is a baby whale, probably just born early in the year. This year, 3 or 4 months old. Anyway, it's very heavy. The other thing, too, I read in an article just now is that even if you try and move it, first of all, you're in danger of being injured, but the whale's in danger, too, because the weight of its internal organs out of water is such that they can be damaged as you try and move a whale. It's not buoyant. So that's the danger to the whale. It's already struggling. It's having trouble breathing
but really,
out of water.
if it can't get itself out, I mean, the prognosis doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't.
They're not going to move it, it sounds like.
And I want to give some credit to beachconnection.net, an article I was reading that's reporting from right out at the coast.
Right, they have the latest on this story.
They do, and one thing they say is that they also have to consider euthanization for this whale because it's inhumane to have it on the beach, struggling to breathe, and it's already a damaged whale. So it may be the best option. We may find out today, or maybe they'll come up with some great. I would love to be able to see them get it out to the water.
Do we know? Obviously, this has happened before for people who lived in the Northwest most of their lives. Do we know of a success story where if the tide didn't naturally do it, that they were able? I'm assuming we don't know of a success story, or they would have some sort of a roadmap to follow.
It's so rare to have a live whale beach. They're usually, as Drew said, dead, but I can't remember one in 15 years.
I wonder what the chances are of us calling. I mean, if we could call Chad, who's on the scene, just to see. I mean, can we dial him through the booth back there, guys? Should we call him on speakerphone? What do you think?
They're working on contacting Chad. Chad is one of our photographers on the Sunrise staff, and I don't know what time Chad left the station. I was actually surprised to hear that he got down there as soon as he did. You have a message there in your phone.
Yeah, we're
which
just getting texts. So Chad's saying a huddle is happening there to try to figure out what to do. NOAA is there as well, Oregon State Parks. I'm just wondering, guys, if we can even just talk to Chad about what he's seeing. He doesn't have to have an update from people, but yeah, I think that'd be great if we could. Back there, guys, should we call him on?
Pardon me.
There's Chad. No, that's Ashley's voice. One of our viewers was asking the very question that you brought up. You know, it sounds easy enough. Kathy Kaufman, good morning, by the way, Kathy, saying, can't they get some kind of lift to get the whale out of there? Can't they rescue him that way and then take the whale back out to water? But as you just explained, I mean, it sounds like an idea. I'm sure it is a thought and an idea, but it's not as easy done as it is said.
Right.
And I didn't consider the idea of that whale, you know, hurting the whale. It's such a big animal.
I never would have thought of that, but the organs inside, when it's out of water, those get damaged because they're so big and heavy and move around in a whale that's out of water.
And you can't play like, you know, when we were kids, you all build the sandcastle with your moat, but I'm assuming they've considered bringing in equipment and digging a trench basically that would allow water in, but that must not be as easy as it sounds either.
You know, if you look at the video of, I don't know if we can get it up, but the video of yesterday afternoon when the whale was in the high tide, there it is at the beach, but when the whale was in that water during high tide yesterday afternoon, God, you'd think it would have had a pretty good chance. It was out there in the surf, but it just wasn't, I think.
It must be pretty injured then.
It must be, I mean, I'm not a biologist, but it just seems like there it is in water. It's struggling over those kind of waves. I think a healthy whale, you would think, would be able to
I don't know, that's still pretty shallow water though, right?
Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, Rod, Kathy is viewer Kathy Parker Harkness saying, what about digging a trench around it? But I mean, think about how deep and long that would have to be, though.
And we also reported, I joined the conversation late, and I apologize if you already brought this up, but I know earlier this morning we reported that it's roughly half of the whales born never really make it to adulthood.
Yeah, they never
high number
to a year old. Yes,
And what did you say? How often a live whale, like the last time a live whale washed up? I mean,
that I haven't heard yet.
I can't think of one. We were just talking about that. I can't think of one.
Can't either.
Yeah, but it's pretty amazing. I think it's an amazing statistic that half the whales that are born don't make it to a year old, and especially at that juvenile weaning process is apparently very stressful for both the mom and the babies.
This is one of those, we have Chad. This is one of those stories, and it's almost like, you know, people are going to be captivated. Once we are able to provide you with this live feed, and we do have Chad DeHart, one of our photojournalists on the Sunrise Show, down there in Waldport. So Chad, can you hear us right now okay?
I do hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect, we do. And so can you kind of just set the scene for us? The video, unfortunately, we're showing our viewers right now is the stuff that was shot yesterday. You're going to set up some video, I know, for us to watch what's going on right now. But just for the starters, tell us over the phone, what does the scene look like there right now?
Well, right now, it's about everything's kind of roped off. You can get about 20 yards to it, 20 to 30 yards to the whale. The whale's still alive. You can see it breathing. There's about 8 officials on site. They're kind of in a huddle right now discussing what their next move is. And then there's probably another 8 or so just bystanders around the area taking a look and seeing what's happening.
Chad, 1 second here. Director Brian, is there any way to pop Chad's audio up in the studio so the Instagram feed can also hear it? I don't know if that's a possibility. No? Okay. Brian, we're not going to be able to get that on Instagram. So, Chad, back to you now. We were just trying to figure out some audio stuff. What have you heard from anybody there about what their plan is? I mean, they're meeting at this point. What are you thinking on that?
They're having their meeting, and that's like I was talking to somebody from State Parks, and he's in the meeting now, and they said somebody from NOAA will come and talk to us briefly after their huddle.
Do we know, by the way, if they've been able to determine if this whale is basically in good health prior to this? Have they been able to do any type of a medical checkup?
They have been doing those assessments. I do not know what the results are.
And Chad, are there lots of people gathered around the beach, just spectators, bystanders? Because I know that's a big message from officials is don't go out there and crowd the area. I'm curious if people are listening to that.
I see about 6 people just kind of watching, with their dogs and just kind of just observing. There's not much chaos going on.
You say that it's roped off as well, Chad, right?
Yeah,
so that's good.
Roped off, and we're pretty far from the water right now as well. So
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of our viewers continuing to chime in right now. We've had a steady stream of followers and commenters on our Facebook feed this morning. Lots of suggestions on how to move the whale, and I'm guessing that, like myself, some of these viewers don't really know what they're talking about. They're making some educated guesses at best, but how about a boat that can gently push or guide the whale out? How about towing it out there? Phil Bransom says, life and death happens. It is sad. But he says moving it will damage it more, which is what we brought up. And Phil, maybe you know more than we do, which wouldn't take much knowledge. But Phil, if you have some insight on whales and the threat of damaging this whale, hurting this whale more by moving it, chime in with more, please. Because right now we're limited. We have Chad DeHart, one of our photographers down there. Chad, Waldport, 15 miles south of Newport. Is it possible to get live pictures back from there this morning? Do you have the setup to do that, or we're not going to be able to get a live feed, do you think?
I can attempt that. It'll probably be another half hour before I could do that if I were to start that now.
Right.
I had to hike about a quarter mile on the beach to get to where I'm at.
Jeez. Wow.
And so then, it's kind of to get access for anybody. You kind of gotta find it and then walk in.
Sure.
And Chad,
right now I'm seeing them. Right now I see them with what looks like blankets and sheets.
Yeah.
They soaked them in water, and now they're covering up the whale.
Yeah, they're trying to keep some water
cool.
on it. Chad, I don't know if you know this or if anybody else knows, but Molly Drew is asking, do baby whales usually stay close to the beach? Why would this have happened? As far as what I've only read is just that they think it's separated from its mother, but I mean, do you guys have any other insight?
Well, marine biologists we talked to yesterday with the OSU out of Newport was talking about this. These whales are coming up from either Central America or Mexico, so they're on a big trek north for food. So, they can go great distances. I think it's whale watching season. We see the whales out just off the coast. It seems that they don't need to travel far out. But I think that when one washes up, it's obviously something's wrong.
There's a story I looked into. I can't remember why I looked into it, but before I went on vacation. But the punchline is that there's also a growing number of these whales, I think the gray whales is what this one article was talking about, that are basically living in our waters nearly year-round. And people will tell you that they're seeing more of these whales in places like Depot Bay, for example, during whale watching this time of the year than you did 10, 20 years ago. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah. And one of the reasons that we were hearing in our story from the experts that this whale may have beached, to answer Molly's question a little bit, is that it was separated for some reason from its mother.
Yeah.
And the reason maybe because the mother was struggling too, was trying to feed herself. And what they may do, it's just a part of nature, is to abandon the baby whale sometimes so that they can survive themselves. That happens. Yeah. Maybe that happened in this case for whatever reason, though. They became separated, and then the baby whale's kind of on its own.
Most people expressing sadness, hoping that somebody can do something, and then you figure on these feeds, you're going to get someone who thinks the opposite. Mike Whitmore chiming in with, everyone is freaking out over a sick baby whale, and he continues with other comments that I'm not going to share completely. But the fact of the matter is this: I don't think everyone's freaking out about this. The fact is,
it just
this
doesn't
is so
happen
rare.
often.
Well, it's a sad story,
and
right?
it's the second day in a row, Rod.
Story.
You were still coming back from vacation yesterday. Yesterday we shared the story about the shark, the baby shark that came up on shore in what part of the coast was that? Do you remember, guys?
Was that near Cannon Beach? Was it? Oh, Pacific.
Tillamook area.
Yeah,
Oh,
Pacific
yeah.
City, right?
And so
survived?
that too was rare, right? This family is down there and they're spending what they think is another ordinary day at the Oregon coast.
Yeah.
A shark just washed up on the beach. And so I don't think people are freaking out. We just can't believe that this actually happened because it's so rare.
Yeah, it's rare to have a live whale come onto the beach. Yeah, and we've got a lot of people checking this out right now. It kind of shows you the interest is big in this thing.
Well, we will, Chad, I know you're going to be out there all morning, so when you can get your live shot powered up, I'm sure we'll be using that all over social media just to get a perspective of now, because again, the video we've been showing was from yesterday.
I've just been told that we got it's going to be another 6 hours before they have a decision made.
Oh, wow.
6
on the
hours.
assessment.
Well, 6 hours takes us to the next high tide.
Yeah,
doesn't
just
it?
about. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. It
So,
would
Chad,
be.
did they say anything else about what they just discussed, or nothing?
No, they're going to send somebody over from NOAA to talk to me in just a minute whenever they're ready.
Great.
And then once in a while, Brian, we've been showing like a still photo that looks like it was taken more recently, not yesterday's video, but is that a photo that Chad sent in, or is that from? Okay. So Chad, I think we should let you go just so you can do your job there. And if you have any other photos to share, obviously we'll throw those up on our social media feed so people can see the latest. So thank you, Chad, very much.
And just for our Instagram audience, you probably couldn't hear Chad on the phone to us, but he was just saying that an official just came over to him and told him the next update's going to be in like 6 hours, which is about the next high
it's
tide.
1 o'clock, which is the high tide's at 2. So it's interesting that they're setting that time.
That will, or a decision won't be made, I guess I should clarify, is what they told him. But they will be sending a NOAA official over to talk to our crew on the scene in the next few minutes. So just make sure you guys monitor if you're interested in this story. We'll be updating it on our app and website, and of course all over social media.
Good luck, baby whale. Good luck.
Absolutely. 7:17 on this Thursday morning. We are going to step aside. We have a Today Show cut-in coming up on television. If you want to watch us there, Rod will bring us a weather update.
Television.
Give us a quick story on today's weather. 30-second recap.
Well, if you like it to be sunny and warm today, the last day for a little while, I'm going 85. We get enough of a morning cloud pattern into the weekend that we may struggle to 80. And I'm going over time, aren't I? There are some signs that we could hit 90 as soon as next Tuesday. One of the models goes near 90 or better next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we'll be following if we get a little bit of a heat run next week.
And Rod is on the road tomorrow in Albany.
Yes,
so
Lynn County.
Check out Rod on the Sunrise Show starting at 5 a.m. in Albany. And we talked about the carousel down there today.
Yes.
Last thing I'll ask you, something you're looking forward to during tomorrow's early morning visit to Albany.
Well, I just learned that they're going to have coffee and donuts for us.
I figured that'd be an answer.
A new food.
But no, seriously, we say carousel and you may think, well, what's the big deal? But the structure that they built around this carousel, including a gift shop, but then this wood carving area that's open for the public, it's really an amazing piece of property, much more than a carousel they developed, and we'll show that to you tomorrow.
We will also figure out a way to bring Tim Gordon on the Sunrise Extra program
Every day.
for a third consecutive day tomorrow. I don't know what he's going to be working on, but we're hoping it leads to an appearance again.
You have to bring
on
me
the
from
stream.
home. I'm off tomorrow.
You are?
Working the weekend a little
Hey,
bit.
We'll
big
work
round
on
of
it.
applause for Tim Gordon. A job well done this week.
All right, thank you so much.
Oh, nice job, Tim. That's funny.
Yeah, I did have some good stuff. Yeah, it was a good week.